out our shirt on Teespring.
Well folks, it seems like the trade war between the US and China might be taking a break, like a couple who decided to go to therapy just to remember why they started arguing in the first place. After months of slapping tariffs on each other's goods, both sides have agreed to a temporary truce. This surprise agreement came after high-level talks in Geneva, where officials from both countries finally decided to put down their trade war toys and actually talk. This is big news, people, because for a while there, it seemed like the only thing these two economic giants could agree on was disagreeing. The US and China have been locked in a bitter trade dispute for the past few years, with each side imposing hefty tariffs on billions of dollars worth of each other's imports. The trade war, like most wars, has had some pretty nasty side effects. It's disrupted global supply chains, hurt businesses, and left consumers feeling the pinch. So, this truce is a welcome development, offering a glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, these two can work things out. This isn't just some flimsy ceasefire though. Both sides have agreed to some concrete steps to ease the tension. The US has agreed to significantly reduce tariffs on Chinese goods, while China has promised to do the same for US imports. It's like they've both agreed to take a chill pill and see if they can actually stand to be in the same room together without throwing tariffs at each other. Let's talk numbers, shall we? The US has agreed to lower its tariffs on Chinese goods from a whopping 145% to a slightly less eye-watering 30%. That's right, folks, a whole 115% reduction. China, in return, will be slashing its tariffs on US goods from 125% to a still significant but less so 10%. Now, I'm no math whiz, but even I can tell you that's a lot of money being saved. This tariff truce is a big deal for businesses and consumers who have been caught in the crossfire of this trade war. Think of it like this. Remember that time you really wanted that fancy new gadget, but the price tag made your eyes water? Well, this tariff reduction is like finding out that gadget is suddenly on sale. Businesses are breathing a collective sigh of relief because lower tariffs mean lower costs, which could translate to lower prices for consumers. But hold your horses, folks, because this tariff truce comes with a catch. It's not a permanent solution, more like a 90-day cooling-off period. Think of it like a couple agreeing to a trial separation before deciding whether to file for divorce or give their relationship another shot. During these 90 days, the US and China have promised to sit down and try to hammer out a more comprehensive trade deal. So what exactly does the US want out of all this? Well, for starters, they want China to play fair. The US has long accused China of unfair trade practices like stealing intellectual property and giving Chinese companies an unfair advantage in their own market. They also want China to buy more American goods, which would help reduce the massive trade deficit between the two countries. Basically, the US wants China to stop acting like that friend who always forgets their wallet when the bill comes. Of course, getting China to agree to all of this is easier said than done. China is a tough negotiator, and they're not just going to roll over and give the US everything it wants. So over the next 90 days we can expect to see a lot of back and forth, with both sides trying to get the best deal for themselves. Think of it like a high-stakes game of chess, only instead of moving pawns and knights, they're moving tariffs and trade agreements. But even if the US and China manage to reach a deal, there's no guarantee it's going to be smooth sailing from there. Remember those supply chains that got all messed up because of the trade war? Well, it's going to take time for them to get back to normal, even with lower tariffs. And let's not forget that the global economy is a fickle beast, prone to sudden mood swings. So, what does the future hold for US-China trade relations? Well, if I had a crystal ball, I'd be writing this from my private island in the Caribbean, sipping on a margarita made with unicorn tears. But alas, I do not. The truth is, it's still too early to say whether this truce will lead to a lasting peace, or if it's just a temporary lull in the storm. The next 90 days will be crucial. If the US and China can use this time to address their differences and come up with a deal that works for both sides, then maybe, just maybe, we can avoid a full-blown trade war. But if they can't, well, then we're right back to where we started. So, there you have it, folks. The US and China have called a truce in their trade war, but the battle is far from over. It's a time for cautious optimism, like finding a $20 bill in your pocket but then realizing it might be counterfeit. Only time will tell whether this truce will lead to a lasting peace or if it's just the calm before the storm.